Shauna and Jody here with Real Sisters, Real Talk.
We're glad to have you joining us as we talk about growing in our faith with God.
Welcome to Real Sisters, Real Talk. I'm Shauna here with my sister Jody, and it is such a joy to be with you today. And we've kind of been hyping up this episode for a bit, talking about writing our life's mission statement. And if that feels big and overwhelming, just take a step back. We're just going to walk through it together. And Jodes, if you can give kind of just a little recap of even what the last few weeks has been like, the episodes that we've dropped in preparation, and kind of what we hope to go into today.
Right. So a couple weeks ago, we dropped an older podcast that we had on values and values versus ideals. And so discovering our values. So we wanted to do the work of writing down what our values are, what we actually live out of, and then also write down what we wish our values were, what we wish we lived out of. If we were going to make a decision, what are the filters that are in place? And the reason that we want to do that work is, one, for starters, is so that we can actually begin to make the adjustments to make our ideals our values, what we're actually living into. And if we don't name that, if we don't recognize that we're not really living in what we kind of think we are or wish that we were, we aren't going to make any changes. And so that's the real heart of doing the work of writing down our values and our values versus ideals.
I'm a big analogy girl. So here's what comes to mind for me when you're saying this. It's kind of like if we were to make plans to go to Australia, and we're making plans to go there, but we don't know what our starting point is. Like, I need to get there from Michigan and you need to get there from California. And so we need to first kind of identify where we are, identify where we want to go, and then we can have a plan, a route. Does that make sense?
Exactly. And that's literally, that's the work of doing values, but that's the work that we're laying out right now, walking into writing our life mission statement. It's kind of discovering what really matters to us and how we kind of order our life because of that. And so we did the values and ideals, and then we dropped a podcast on our biblical mandate or our life verses or verses that really matter, scripture that matters to us. And one of the things that is so important in that work is, and I've said this so many times, but like when I did my first biblical mandate, my 5 verses that just are kind of my heart verses, I just figured everybody would have the same verses as me, because certainly everybody thinks the way I think. And so one of the great learnings for me in that process was that God breaks my heart for different things than he breaks other people's heart. God created me different than he created other people. And so if I'm not living into who God created me to be, then there's a loss there. And I shouldn't be looking at other people and thinking, oh, I wish I was more like them, because God created me uniquely to be me. And so there's so many gifts in that process for me, which is why I was so excited to share that in one of our older podcasts. But also when we do that work of writing down our heart versus our life verses, and then like we talked about, putting down why those matter to us, because you and I can have the same verse for a different reason. We start to see the connection. Yeah, we start to see the connection between our values and our verses that resonate. And we start to see, oh, this all kind of points to the same heart things, the things that matter, like my foundation of my integrity, or like, what really matters to me. And as we start to see those things that continue to rise up, we can start to then discern what a life mission statement might be, right? Like, what is it that breaks my heart? What do I live for? So again, one of the things we talked about was like, we can have the same profession and the same passion in that, but we're going to do it a different way. So lots of people out there are moms or dads parenting. And even if you're not parenting your own children, you're mentoring people, we're bringing people up around us. So that's like a common thread. but we all do that in a unique way
Mm-hmm.
because we're created unique and different. God created us with our own bent and how we do that. And so we come at it with a different passion, a different bent.
Yeah. And this probably reveals a little bit about me, but there's a real temptation in me, Jodes, to feel like there's a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this, and I want to get it right.
For sure. That is so my nature too. So I don't know if that's how we were raised or if that is like there is a right answer. So like honestly, like that's the thing about, I can hear somebody else's life mission statement. I'm like, oh, me too. Yeah, that could be
That's
mine.
a good one.
And then somebody else can read theirs. Yeah. Oh, I like that one. I'll do that. Like I think that's in our nature. I don't know. I don't know if that's normal or if it's just us, but I hear you. I want the right answer. And the right answer is um comes from listening with God
Mm.
and asking him to guide us and paying attention and and so
I'm a big believer too
yeah.
that there's that God's fingerprints are on our lives, and there's things that he's passionate about that show up in you differently than how they show up in me. And so this whole journey of it's not about me. It's that as I bring forward the Christ in me, the God in me, and that part
Mm-hmm.
of who he is that he placed in my heart, and you bring the part that he placed in your heart, we get a fuller picture. Oh, I can't put my hand in front of the camera. That's weird. Okay. Sorry, YouTubers. If you're just listening, carry on. Nothing's going on here. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think that part of this discovery process, all of this discovery process is for the glory of God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God is our creator and we want to live for him in the way that he has called us to do that. We want to stand before him and hear that well done, good and faithful servant, right? Like in the unique way that he has called us to live. And so that's the purpose of doing this. It's not to get the right answer or to be able to say that I have my life mission statement all laid out. Yay,
Oh, can I
me.
ask you a question?
That's not what this is about. Mm-hmm.
A real genuine curiosity. Can your life's mission statement change with seasons, or is it
Yes.
more of like an unchanging part of who you are?
That is such a good question, and I am so ill-equipped to answer that question. I mean, my impression, uh, my thought on that would be that it probably adapts more than it changes.
Mm.
So we're growing people, and so we are always hope prayerfully growing in our walk with the Lord, discerning, getting more clarity. And so I do believe that this is something that is a constant work. It's not like, oh, I wrote my mission statement when I was 21 and now that I'm 50, whatever, I don't have to, I just know what it is. It's like, no, this is a constant work and a constant refining. But I do kind of wonder if it doesn't so much like, oh, it was this direction and now it's a 180 and it's this direction as much as it's a refining, a growing, an adapting, maybe more clarity.
Yeah.
Season of life kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
It makes sense.
That's kind of my thoughts on it. Yeah.
Well, there's some because there's stuff that we're passionate about that is like it's so deep in who we are. 5 years isn't going to change that, But then there are real life experiences that surface different passions in us too because of the things that we've experienced that will it makes sense that it could be refined and that it wouldn't radically change, but there could be nuances.
Okay, so just thinking of an example. We have a number of people in our circle that are really passionate and involved with aid to human trafficking, which is such a beautiful calling. So I would guess that early on in life, their mission statements were about helping, about bringing aid, about protecting. I would imagine that those mission statements were in line with that. And as they got exposed to some things or met somebody, that refining came with a real passion for helping with human trafficking and uh, bringing women out of that and kind of helping rehabilitate. And even if it's just raising funds to help that. So whatever the kind of the main gist of their life mission statement is now refined in this place as they live it out unto the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all unto the Lord, right?
Yeah.
For these believers. But I think that's kind of the thing where maybe life shows us some things and we get a little more clarity, and maybe we hone it into a real particular place. And though that life statement can be lived out different places, but as I would encourage them in that kind of a scenario, as they continue to write that, to put really specific things in about, and in this category, in this way, I want to help women who are coming out of human trafficking, like, because that's such a heart issue for them, something that they're so drawn to,
Yeah.
if
That's
that
good.
makes sense.
Yeah,
So
it totally does.
it can definitely be a growing thing. So, okay. So on what you said a few minutes ago, and I can't even recap that, but like you were just kind of in talking with the, how you kind of are innately built, and how you act on that, kind of who we are um, in our nature. One of the things that I think is so helpful, last week we talked about naming some people that you respect that are influential in your life. So it might be authors or people, mentor, someone who's in your life. It could be a teacher or a administrator that has had influence on you. But if you have a mentor in your life, one of the really cool things to ask them is, what do you see in me, unique in me, in the way that I live out my life? Because there's times like when I mentor people, I think it's much easier for me to see things in them the way that God is at work in them than it is to see it in my own life. So even in just relationship with my sisters and my friends, there's things I can see in them that I think, you don't see this, do you? But I see it as such like your heart so breaks for this type of person or this type of thing. I mean, even with my husband, there's times when it's like, oh my goodness, you are so you have such a deep love for this type of person, or he's always for the underdog. And there's things that I can see because it's not so connected to who I am, where I need other people to speak that into my life. And so if you have somebody that's a trusted friend or a mentor, somebody who is wise, ask that question.
That's great.
Because you'll get some really good insight um, that you might not be able to get some clarity on in your own reflection. So that's just another side thought in kind of what you were sharing earlier.
And if you don't have somebody like that in your life, that's something to pray into and ask the Lord for. Somebody who looks like Jesus, and from the front they're going to look like a sheep, but from the back to you, as they're in front of you, they look like a shepherd, and you can step in behind them and you can follow them, and they'll lead you in the ways of Jesus. That's something that I have very intentionally sought out and prayed for in my life, and a huge blessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And can I just encourage you to, if you do ask someone to mentor you, pray about it before you ever ask that person. And if you do ask somebody to mentor you and they can't do that in this season and they say no, don't quit. Pray into that and ask the Lord who to ask next. I think we can see that as a rejection, and then no, we're just going to shut that door. And the thing is, a mentor is a really beautiful thing and relationship, and you can kind of meet with the person a couple times and see if it's a good fit or not. If it's not a good fit, walk away.
Yeah, start with, hey, I'd love to get coffee with you. Don't start with, hey, I'd love you to be my life mentor and pour into me and invest in my life. That's scary. That will make them run. I think I might have proposed that in that way at once, because I definitely got a solid, no. And it wasn't like the person said no. It just didn't happen. And I was like, and I survived it. I'm here to tell about it. So you can survive a no as well. It's okay.
You made it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I always encourage people to is to just, if you want to meet with somebody, like if you decide to ask that person to mentor you and you want to meet with them, put a time frame on it. Like, will you meet with me once a month for 1 hour for the next 6 months?
That's
Would
good.
you be willing to commit to that?
Yeah.
And then after 6 months, you can reevaluate that and see if it is working or not working. But that's just a good way to enter into that kind of relationship and kind of see if that fits.
That's
And
so
I
good.
have mentors in my life. Yeah, I have mentors in my life that I don't see on a regular basis, but when I do get to connect, or if there's, something I need to process out, like these women are I'm so connected with them that it's like, ah, thank you. Thank you for this, right? It's such a gift. And so, yeah, just I mentoring is a really important thing.
Yeah.
I think
No
we all
extra
need to have
charge on that one.
mentors.
That's not even in the
No extra charge.
memo for today, but there you go.
Right. So, kind of moving on in this, last
Yeah.
week we talked about some different things to process, some different prompts that we could kind of just reflect on. And again, I want to encourage, like, and maybe for some people, this is like a bada bing, bada boom kind of thing. Like, got that, got that, got that. For me, it is not. Like, this is a work. It takes processing. It takes sitting with it. We can't say, I'm going to sit down for an hour and get this thing done. It's a matter of kind of dragging it along for, weeks,
Yeah.
months, kind of a thing, I think, as you kind of continue to sit on it. But you have to stay diligent with it. It's worth it. I think it's worth the work in it. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to kind of go through those prompts we talked about last week. Jot down some notes in a journal. Go, if you live by the beach, we live by the beach, so go sit by the beach, and or go sit at a park or in your backyard, or wherever your sweet spot is, and do some just kind of journaling and sitting with those prompts and kind of work those out. And so after you've done the values and the biblical mandate and then kind of work through those prompts, you would look at some leaders, some people who are influential in your life. You write down kind of why you're drawn to these people. And then if you have a good mentor, you can ask them what they see in you. And those are kind of all the kind of beginning spots of getting to the point of being ready to kind of write out a draft for your mission statement. And then I would honestly encourage you just to kind of write out a draft. Just kind of put down some thoughts about what you think might fall into kind of how you're uniquely made, what your bent is.
So what is, I'm just curious, like, can you read us yours? Do you have like a sample of like, what should it entail? Like what does it sound like? What does it look like?
A mission statement or a draft?
Ooh, they're not the same thing.
Well, the draft eventually gets to the mission statement, right?
Okay.
So I will tell you what my mission statement is, but like a draft of my mission statement might be maybe even like a little too wordy kind of a thing. Like, I love to study the Word of God. I love to invest in the lives of people. I want to make a difference for the Lord. I want to help point people toward Christ and help them grow because I'm a learner. And it is life-giving to invest in people in a way that matters.
Okay, here I am with my analogies again, but this is like if I'm going to cook something, I'm the kind of cook who likes to have everything in front of me. So if I'm going to cook something, I will literally look at what the ingredients are and pull out all of the ingredients and set them on the counter before I start chopping anything or measuring anything. I need to know. I need to see in front of me, I have all the things. I feel like as you're describing the draft, that like that's kind of like pulling out all of your ingredients.
Yeah.
They're not
like
cut up
that.
yet, they're not chopped up yet, they're not measured out yet, but you can just take a glance and see what's all going to go in.
Exactly. And it's okay to have the mess right now. Like the counter, the island can be full. It's okay. And then we're going to kind of refine that down. And, I don't know. So on that picture of having all the ingredients out, it might be that you measure things out and put them in bowls, and now we can put the big containers away kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of getting it refined down. And so, if you get that draft down, kind of getting you in that direction, like, look at your values, look at your biblical mandate. Is it in line? Because then we start evaluating. Is it in line with what I wrote down on all the work I did, right? Does it represent that? Does it resonate when I read that? Does that feel true and right?
Mm.
And does it motivate me in any way? Am I excited about it? You can take that draft and bring it to a mentor, to a trusted friend, to someone who loves you, and ask them to read through it and kind of speak to it. Not to write your mission statement, but to just say, "Oh, I see that in you."
Yeah.
Right?
Or
Like,
that
"Oh,
that just
yes.
rings true to who I know you to be. I think you're on the right track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes." Or they might say, this statement, I wonder if it's more in line with this. They might be able to bring some clarity, and in those moments you can either say, I don't think so, or oh my goodness, yes, 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 yes. That one really, that zeroes it in. So it just kind of helps you um as you evaluate your your draft. And then I would go back and I would start to write more of, kind of get it refined down. So hang on, I'm going to actually give you some questions to ask yourself when you have the draft in front of you.
Okay.
Okay. So does this bring out the best in me? Does it challenge and motivate me? Does it communicate my vision and values? Does it represent how I uniquely bring something to people,
Hmm.
society, life, kind of thing? So if you can kind of put it in that lens and kind of evaluate, um and does it motivate me, right? So those are kind of some questions you can ask. I already said that one, sorry. um as you look at it, and then when you kind of evaluate that, you might even reword some of your draft, still too wordy, right?
Hmm.
But
I think
once you
I feel like we've talked
yeah.
about this already on the podcast, but um this is a lot of what I'm doing in my work right now because I went from being a morning show host to a midday host, and my moments on air are much shorter. And it takes me longer to write my content because of the economy of words. I need to use less words to share a very meaningful message. So that's the work that we're doing here is economy of words. Is the draft has more words, but we're trying to boil it down, if you will, and get a more condensed version or expression. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, yes. And so honestly, like I have gotten my mission statement down to, if I want to say it in a sentence, I will say, I want to help people take their next step toward Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That's my sentence. To explain it further, it's, if somebody doesn't know Christ, I would love to help them, introduce them to him to them. If somebody is a young believer, I would love to help them learn what it means to grow in their walk
Hmm.
with him, study of his word. I would love to help seasoned believers continue to walk in having a transformed life. And all of this through the study of God's word, falling in love
Mm-hmm.
with his word. Like that's really the grounding of all of this. And it's about relationship with him, not about head knowledge, about
Right.
relationship with him. So, but if it's down to a sentence, I want to help people take their next step toward Christ.
Mm-hmm. I so when my girls went off to college, my girls in particular, I remember especially with my oldest friend, she went off to college and she made all these new friends, and she would talk about her people, but she lived in a different state. She went to college in a different state, so I didn't know these girls, and I would get the stories mixed up, and I wanted to
Yep.
figure out who was who, and so I did like associations with them, like you know. So and so, yeah, she's the one who always goes to the bathroom with the door open. Or, oh, so and so, she's the tall, skinny one. Or that one, London, little London, she's little, right? And I just had like these associations that I made with these people. I feel like, in a very simplistic way, like if there was a bubble over our head as we walked around, what we were known for. This is kind of our mission statement, right? Like, this is at the heart of who she is. This is who I am. And I haven't done this work of being able to wordsmith what this looks like, but I feel like this is raw, but I feel like mine might sound something like, oh, that's Shauna. Oh yeah, she helped me to fall more in love with Jesus, Shauna, as an association.
Yeah. 100%.
Is that, I mean, am I
That
on the
is,
right track?
yes, absolutely. And Shauna, I so see that in you. So like, I don't know, that is absolutely your heart. You want to help people fall in love with Jesus. I I even think like in this, you were talking about this like changing your job. So now the way you're still doing content, pointing people to Christ, but you used to be able to do it in story and it was kind of interactive with a co-host and that kind of thing. And now you're doing it in a 60-minute slot and you're on your own. And so all this prep that goes into advance of that. So maybe the way you're doing it is different, but you're still doing the same thing.
Right. I wish I had
Right.
60
And
minutes. It's actually 60 seconds at a time.
60 seconds. Of course it is.
Yeah. Radio. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah.
That 60-minute blip.
60 minutes sounds
No, that's not how it
lovely.
works.
Yeah.
Your boss would be like, what?
Yeah. I'm going to take the hour.
Yeah. Certainly that's good, right?
Yeah.
But I just think it's kind of that same, like it's still fulfilling that same desire in you. You're just doing it in a different way. And so, but yes, kind of that overcapping, I think, is for sure in line with where your mission statement is.
I love this. I am so grateful that you've guided us through this walk and this understanding of what it is to come to a place that in a way that glorifies God, that kind of, I don't know if summarizes is the right word, but kind of in a few short words describes what we were made for.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the benefits of having it done, having done this work, is not so that I can say, if somebody asks me, you know, uh, you know, can you babysit? Nope, that doesn't fall in line with my mission statement. It it's not that, but it's how do I live out who God created me to be in every area of my life. So the truth is, I've told you when my grandkids are over, I'm speaking the verse that I believe God gave me over them.
Yeah.
We're praying together. I'm getting to we're singing the songs. This is incorporated in every area of my life. And so whatever I get to do, I get to know that this is who I am and I want to live it out fully in whatever capacity I'm working at that time. And so it's about leaning in to who God created you to be, not about, creating these barriers around you.
Yeah, and I love how you said that because it's so much more than just being able to express it, like put pen to paper and express it. It's about how it's expressed in your life.
Yes, Shauna, that right. And again, like this is not about doing, this is about being.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I in Christ? How do I want to live that out? Because of who I am in my inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my heart, my spirit, who I am. That's I live it out because of that. It comes out of that. And so that's just a beautiful thing.
So, will you share with us your mission statement?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really have. Like,
Okay.
truly, my mission statement is I want to help people fall more in love with Christ. I want to help people become all they can be in Christ. And so I have a longer version of it too, but that truly is what my mission statement is. And so, my job, I'm the director of adult discipleship and leadership development at our church. I get to do that in my job. When I'm when I'm teaching to the women in our women's Bible study, I absolutely get to do that. When
Mm.
I am meeting with somebody, mentoring, or just even doing a one meeting because they're struggling with something, I get to help them um, lean in to who they are in Christ, right? And grow in their walk with Him. If I'm um, at the grocery store, I can constantly be aware of people around me, keep my head up,
Mm-hmm.
listening, having the conversations that matter, right?
Yeah.
It's in every area of my life, I get to live that out. I am really grateful that my job so specifically allows me to live into that,
Mm-hmm.
but everything I do, I can live into that.
And this probably goes without saying, but sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I just think it's helpful to just state the obvious. All of the things that you just mentioned were all things that bless other people, that give something away to somebody else that you're going to come in contact with, and you can't give away what you don't have. And so it's
Right.
so married to and partnered with doing the work personally. Like, before you can be someone who helps other people love Jesus, you got to love Jesus, and I know that's probably sounds super simplistic, but there's a nurturing of that relationship that helps you to personally grow deeper and have roots that go deep, that strengthen you to be able to show up in other people's lives in a really powerful way.
Yeah. Yeah. So it truly is about being
Mm.
more than doing. It comes out of who you are. And so again, this is a long work. I would encourage you to keep that mission statement in front of you when you kind of feel like you've got that final draft. Keep it in front of you. Keep leaning into refining that. Um, Asking the Lord if there's something else He wants to show you in that. And hopefully, it will be a work that you feel like is worthwhile,
Mm-hmm.
and not so you can produce, but drawing you closer to relationship with Him. When I live into my mission statement, it is life giving.
Mm.
And I notice that, right? Like this is life giving. And I know when I'm working outside of that and it's a lot of work. And sometimes
Mm.
things are just a lot of work and that's just life, but there's a sweet spot there.
There's
And
it
want
makes
to
me think
notice
of
that.
Eric Liddell, the Olympic runner. He said,
Yeah.
"When I run, I feel God's pleasure." I feel like the
Yes.
discovery of the mission statement, personal mission statement, is an opportunity to kind of just find that spot where, when I'm living into this and when I'm living out of this, I feel the Lord's pleasure over my life.
What a great way to close this. I love that. Yeah. So we want to encourage you as you do this work. If you have something you want to share with us, we would love for you to reach out to us. You can reach us on Instagram or Facebook at Real Sisters Real Talk. We also have a website at jodyandshauna.com. And we'd love to hear about your process. And even if you're willing to share your mission statement,
Mm-hmm.
that's fun
That'd
for
be
both
amazing.
Shauna and I. So we'd love to
Mm-hmm.
hear from you. As you walk through this week, remember, we serve a real God and He really loves you.